file official reports about encounters with unexplained aerial phenomenon, otherwise known as UFOs.
And what's behind this dramatic announcement, and is it related to the UFO videos which were made public at the end of 2017?
Something alien has been crossing our skies, and almost none of it has ever been explained. In cities, over highways, and now even rising out of the ground itself. Some move with no sound at all. Others match speeds and patterns that no known aircraft has ever produced. They are getting closer, and they are showing up in numbers nobody is prepared for. Every single sighting is real, and nobody would have believed any of it if someone had not been there with a camera at exactly the right moment. Here are most shocking alien footage ever found. Chinese horizon line. A person on a rooftop in China pointed their camera at the night sky and captured something that crossed the entire horizon. Not a blinking dot, a single rigid line of white light, perfectly straight, sliding slowly above an entire city of millions. 3 glowing orbs hung beside it like escorts. China has one of the tightest controlled airspaces on Earth. Nothing crosses a major city skyline undetected unless someone allowed it, or someone is not talking. They have never explained it, not once. Whatever crossed that sky did it slowly, completely, and without asking a single person on the ground for permission. And according to some people who claimed they were there, the sight wasn't the only thing that disturbed them. Some reported slight burning sensations on exposed skin. Others described patches of redness appearing afterward. Nothing severe, just enough to make people stop, stare at their own arms, and ask a question nobody could answer. What had just passed over them? Which leads to a darker possibility. Who sent it? And if it was sent, what exactly were they sending? Maybe the object wasn't simply being seen. Maybe it was doing something, testing something, transmitting something. Because if something was being transmitted that night, it wasn't moving through the sky. It was moving over a city full of people. Kentucky orb. A witness in the quiet countryside between Bardstown and Bloomfield, Kentucky, filmed a massive glowing orb sitting motionless in an empty field. Brilliant white light pulsing across the dry grass, just sitting there, humming. Then it intensified and collapsed into itself with a single blinding flash. When the light cleared, the field was completely empty. No object, no scorch, no crater, no evidence that anything had ever been there at all. Sparkling departure. This one is strange in a very specific way. A craft was hovering over open land and releasing something from its underside. Not smoke, not fire. Something that glittered as it fell toward the ground, like energy being discharged. Like it was finishing a job, then one single flash and it was gone. No direction, no fade. Just there, and then not there. This exact behavior, a craft releasing glittering particles before vanishing instantly, shows up in documented UAP sightings from Belgium in 1989 and the Hudson Valley in the 1980s. Official investigations were opened for both. Neither one was ever explained. It finished what it came to do, then it left. And that is what scared people the most. Because if those glittering particles were being released deliberately, then the obvious question is, released for what? Some people believe the craft wasn't leaving something behind at all. They believe it was establishing contact with something already here, something already among us. The object behaved like it knew exactly where it was, exactly where to stop, and exactly when to leave. Maybe the most important part of that encounter wasn't the craft. Maybe it was whatever the craft came to meet. Wind farm visitor? A man near a wind farm looked up and saw something enormous descending slowly through the sky. Not falling, descending. The way something descends when it is in complete control of where it is going. It was circular, it was huge, and it moved nothing like any aircraft he had ever seen. Here is the part worth sitting with. Multiple documented UAP sightings have occurred near energy infrastructure, wind farms, nuclear plants, power stations. The U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission has logged UAP activity near nuclear facilities going back decades. The government body created specifically to investigate this is called the AARO. They were tasked with finding out whether that proximity is coincidence or pattern. They have not published a conclusion, and that silence opens a door nobody wants to walk through, because there are only 2 theories that make any sense. Either these craft are drawing power directly from our energy infrastructure, feeding off it like a charging station we never agreed to build, or they are studying it, mapping every power source on the planet, learning exactly what to shut down and when. Whatever this was, it chose that location. It came down deliberately, and it picked that spot. British anomalies. Multiple glowing orbs were filmed shifting formation above a dense forest canopy somewhere in the United Kingdom. And the thing that separates this from a simple drone sighting is the way they moved. The formation changes were mechanical, precise, like something was coordinating them from somewhere. No engine noise, no sound at all from anything present. Then they accelerated into the clouds and disappeared in seconds. And here is the question that has been eating at people ever since. Coordination like that does not happen by accident. Something sent them. Something was watching through them. Something sitting somewhere we cannot see, directing objects through British skies in the middle of the night, like it had been doing it for years and had absolutely no concern about being caught. We have spent decades pointing telescopes at distant stars and asking whether anything is out there. We have sent signals into deep space hoping something would write back. But what if the answer to that question is not somewhere out there in the dark between galaxies? What if it has already been here, watching, mapping, moving through our skies in perfect formation? The sky swallowed them whole, and nobody on the ground got a single answer. Peru descending orb. Over Peru, a red object hung in the sky and then did something that made everyone watching go completely silent. A smaller orb appeared from underneath it, slowly, deliberately, and then moved away with clear direction, like it had a specific destination and knew exactly how to get there. Now pay attention to this. The US government's own 2021 UAP report, released by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, formally documented craft that appeared to release or deploy smaller objects. That is an official government document, not a conspiracy theory. And what researchers believe those smaller objects are doing is the part that keeps people up at night. The leading theory is surveillance, close-range, ground-level surveillance. The smaller craft goes where the larger one cannot. It moves through neighborhoods, over military installations, into spaces that would draw too much attention if something enormous showed up. It collects whatever it came to collect, then it returns. Some researchers believe this has been happening over populated areas for decades, that we have been studied the way we study animals in the wild, quietly, patiently, without our knowledge or consent. It separated from the larger craft on purpose, because something on the ground was worth a closer look, something specific, something that required a smaller, quieter, harder to detect object to get the job done. And the most disturbing part of that is not what it was looking at. It is that whatever sent it already knew exactly where to look. City Mothership. Nobody was ready for this one. In broad daylight, above a major populated city, something crossed the sky that looked nothing like any aircraft ever built. It was enormous. It had multiple levels, complex paneling across its entire surface, and what appeared to be docking ports running along its rim. Not a light, not a blur, a structure, something with deliberate architecture, something that was designed with a purpose in mind by something that understood engineering at a level we may not. People below it scattered, some filmed, some just stood there with their mouths open. And here is what gets me. It did not hide. It did not move fast or stay high where it would be hard to see. It crossed that city slowly, in full daylight, above thousands of people, like it was not afraid of being seen, like it simply did not care. Highway companion. A man driving through a suburban neighborhood noticed something in the sky ahead of him and pulled out his phone. A diamond-shaped craft, low altitude, pouring intense white light downward with a clean symmetrical outline that no commercial aircraft produces at that height. He sped up. It matched him exactly. He slowed down. It slowed with him. For the entire stretch of road, it held his precise speed like it was watching him specifically, not passing through the area, not coincidentally nearby, matching him deliberately. This behavior has a documented name in UAP research. It is called pacing. Military aviation records going back to the 1950s are full of pilots reporting the exact same thing. The FAA has received pacing reports from commercial pilots, and the theories around why it happens are the part nobody wants to say out loud. The first theory is selection, that these craft identify specific individuals for reasons we do not understand and follow them to study them up close. Not the car, not the road, the person inside it. Some researchers believe people who have been paced are later visited again, in their homes, in their sleep, without any memory of it happening. The second theory is darker, that pacing is not observation, it is assessment, that something is deciding whether a person is worth taking, and the ones who film it and drive away are simply the ones that did not get selected that night. It was not passing through, it was following him. Backyard disc. A man recording his surroundings on an ordinary overcast day accidentally caught something hovering so low above his neighborhood it was barely clearing the rooftops. Large, gray, a raised dome sitting on top of a solid disc shape, detailed enough to make out its structure clearly, hanging directly above houses, driveways, and parked cars, like it had simply decided to stop there. No sound reported. And here is the part that genuinely unsettles me. No reaction from anyone on the street below it. Not a single person came outside, no cars stopped, no neighbors pointed up, nothing. A structured craft that size hovering that low above a residential street should have caused complete chaos. The fact that it did not means one of two things. Either the footage is not what it appears to be, or something was operating in a way that made it selectively invisible to everyone who was not directly looking at it. That many people lived underneath it, and nobody looked up. New York saucer. A woman filming from inside her New York City apartment caught a metallic disc hanging between the clouds directly outside her window, close enough to make out the ring of lights running along its underside, evenly spaced, glowing steadily against the gray sky. The full city skyline sat visible behind it, which meant anyone paying attention could see exactly how low this thing was flying over one of the most densely populated places on Earth. Now here is what makes this specific location so significant. New York City airspace is monitored by overlapping radar systems from LaGuardia, JFK, and Newark simultaneously. An object that size flying that low would appear on multiple radar screens at once if it produced any kind of radar return at all. No radar contact from this event has ever been made public. Whatever was outside that window was either invisible to every radar system covering that city, or someone saw it and said absolutely nothing. It was not cleared to be there, and nothing came to move it along. Maryland flashes. One night over Maryland, bright blue flashing lights appeared in the sky, and people started filming from multiple separate locations at the same time. Different cameras, different vantage points, same coordinated pattern moving across the same sky. And it was not just Maryland. Blue light UAPs matching this exact description and this exact pulsing pattern have been documented across at least 6 other US states in completely separate incidents. Here is what makes the silence afterwards so loud. The US government created the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office through the 2022 National Defense Authorization Act. Its entire purpose is to investigate coordinated multi-location UAP events, exactly like this one. The Maryland flashes generated almost no official public response, no statement, no investigation announced, nothing. When something happens across multiple locations simultaneously, the silence stops being an absence. It becomes its own kind of answer. Frozen fighter jet and Nimitz. Footage has been circulating online showing what appears to be an advanced military aircraft brought to a complete stop in midair near an unidentified object. That specific footage has not been independently verified, but this next part has. In November 2004 off the coast of San Diego, U.S. Navy pilots from the USS Nimitz encountered a white object, roughly 40 feet long, with no wings, no exhaust, and no infrared signature. Commander David Fravor, a decorated pilot with 18 years of experience, went on record. The object dropped from 80,000 feet to the ocean surface in seconds, hovered, then accelerated away at a speed his aircraft could not come close to matching. The Pentagon officially released and confirmed that footage in April 2020. The unverified footage we opened with shows a military aircraft frozen in midair near an unidentified object. The Nimitz pilots described their instruments behaving strangely in proximity to what they encountered. 2 separate incidents, 2 separate eras, same terrifying implication. Whatever these craft are, they appear to have the ability to reach into our most advanced military technology and simply switch it off. The most sophisticated weapon systems humans have ever built, rendered completely useless without a single shot fired. And what most people never heard is that after the Nimitz pilots filed their reports, those reports were collected and removed by individuals identifying themselves as from a government agency. That removal has been testified to under oath before Congress. Commander Fravor has never changed his account, not once. Canyon observer. A tourist filming a massive waterfall accidentally caught something hovering silently above the rocky cliffs behind it. A dark metallic disc, completely still, sitting against the misty backdrop like it had been there for a while and had no intention of moving. No visible propulsion, no sound, just hanging there above the rushing water below it, with the kind of stillness that feels wrong on something that size. And then the moment the witness tried to adjust their focus to get a clearer shot, the object accelerated instantly and disappeared into the mountain fog. Not gradually, not slowly climbing away. Instantly. That is the detail that stays with me. It was perfectly still for long enough to be filmed clearly. And the moment someone tried to look closer, it was gone in a single breath. It knew it was being watched, and it decided it was done being seen. Nevada cave launch. In the Nevada desert, something came out of the ground. Not descending from the sky, not approaching from a distance. It emerged from inside a cave, a solid dark object, with no wings and no visible exhaust, and launched straight up into the air at a speed the camera could barely follow. 1 second it was there. The next, it was a shrinking dot disappearing into the sky above the desert. Now, before you dismiss this, sit with the location for a second. The Nevada desert sits right next to the Nevada Test and Training Range. 2.9 million acres of restricted airspace. The largest block of restricted airspace in the entire United States. The Air Force tested the U-2 spy plane there, all of them for years, while publicly denying every single one of them existed. And here is the part that should bother you. Every single time one of those aircraft was spotted by civilians, witnesses were told they had seen weather balloons, military flares, or nothing at all. Ordinary people reported objects moving in ways no known aircraft could match. And the government looked them in the eye and told them they were wrong, for years, until the aircraft were eventually declassified, and the government quietly admitted that, yes, those sightings were real, and yes, we lied to you about every one of them. So, what are they hiding there now? Some believe the US government recovered craft that did not originate on this planet, and that somewhere inside that 2.9 million acres of restricted desert, engineers have spent decades taking those craft apart, studying them, and attempting to reverse engineer whatever technology made them fly. Whatever it was, it had been underground, and when it left fast. India Mothership. Earlier this year in India, someone looked up between the clouds and found something that stopped them completely cold. A ring of amber light so dense and so wide, it was lighting up the entire cloud layer around it. Not a few scattered dots. Suspended completely still between two cloud layers. Power lines ran across the foreground of the footage, which gave a clear sense of the scale of what was sitting inside those clouds. Whatever this was, it was enormous. This fits a specific pattern that UAP researchers have formally documented across at least 4 continents. Large structured objects using cloud cover to stay hidden, visible only when their own internal lighting gives them away. The clouds are not where they appear from. The clouds are where they hide. And the theories around why sightings are surging specifically over India right now are the part that nobody in any official capacity wants to address directly. India is the most populated country on Earth. If something is here to observe human beings at scale, India is the most efficient place on the planet to do it from, and you have access to more human activity than almost anywhere else. These things have not suddenly appeared over India. They have been up there for a very long time, doing whatever it is they came to do. The only thing that changed is that for the first time in human history, we have enough cameras everywhere to accidentally catch what was always already there. Secret base transport. A large US Army convoy was filmed moving through the desert, and what it was carrying is what stopped people cold. Silver disc-shaped objects loaded onto military flatbeds, multiple of them, surrounded by a heavy armed escort that was not there for decoration, and the convoy was heading in the direction of Area 51. This is a highly classified United States Air Force installation sitting inside the Nevada desert, so secret that the US government refused to officially acknowledge it. Armed guards patrol its borders. The government has spent decades and enormous amounts of money making absolutely certain that nobody finds out. This is not the first time military vehicles have been photographed moving unusual cargo through that specific corridor. It has happened before, and every single time it has happened, the government has offered no explanation for what was on those flatbeds. Think about what a heavy-armed military escort actually means. You do not surround cargo with that kind of firepower because the cargo is ordinary. You do not close off routes and move under those conditions because what you are carrying is something routine. You only do so when they are dangerous. Kentucky linger. Whatever was over Kentucky had been there for 24 hours straight, not a few minutes, not a quick pass through the area, a full day. No blinking, no navigation beacons, no FAA required strobes. Cruising the same stretch of airspace in what witnesses described as a slow and deliberate pattern. Too slow for a meteor, too mobile for a star, too persistent for any aircraft operating on any known flight plan anywhere in the world. And for that entire 24 hours, not a single official body acknowledged it was there. No explanation offered to the people on the ground, watching it move above them day and night. Most things that do not belong in the sky leave the moment they realize they have been noticed. They disappear fast. They do not linger. This one stayed. Why? Some think it is mapping the exact location of power grids, water systems, communication networks, and underground pipelines beneath that specific area of Kentucky, building a precise targeting picture of everything that keeps that region alive and functioning. Others believe that whatever was up there for 24 hours was not observing from a distance. It was doing something to the air, the soil, or the water supply below it. Something slow and methodical that required a full day of sustained positioning directly overhead. Whatever it came to do, it had more than enough time to finish. Ohio spaceship. Late one night in Ohio, two friends watched something move just above the ground directly in front of them. Not high up, not a distant light in the sky, just above the ground, close enough to see its shape clearly. A massive dark craft with blue lights glowing from its surface, sliding through the air without making a single sound. And that is the part that broke them. Something that size moving that low should have been deafening. Displaced air alone should have hit them like a wall. Engine noise should have carried across the open ground for miles. Ground vibration should have moved through their feet. It produced none of those things, like the laws of physics had been quietly suspended for everything except the two people standing there watching it. They did not run. They just stood there completely frozen and watched it pass. And then they made the mistake of telling someone. They reported what they saw through the proper channels. And within a short period of time, people showed up. Not local police. Not a friendly government representative asking routine questions. People who did not identify as which agency they were from, and who were not interested in what the two witnesses had seen. They were only interested in one thing, making absolutely certain those two people understood what would happen to them if they kept talking about it. The warning was not subtle. They were told in direct and specific terms that what they had seen was not something they had seen, that continuing to discuss it publicly would create serious problems for them, the kind of serious problems that follow a person into their job, their family, and every other part of their life. They went quiet after that. And the thing that moved silently above their heads that night in Ohio has never been officially acknowledged by anyone. Austin Mothership. On the 23rd of April, 2026 in Austin, Texas, footage started circulating of something suspended in the sky with two smaller craft flanking it on either side. Large, still, hanging in the air above the city like it had been there for a while and had decided it did not need to hide. What people cannot stop talking about is what happens next in the clip. The two smaller craft begin moving toward the central object, slowly at first, then they appear to connect with it, like they are docking, like they are being pulled in and absorbed. Then a single bright flash and the entire formation vanishes. The next frame, the sky is completely empty, like someone reached into the footage and deleted it. But the footage is only part of the story. Something strange started spreading through online communities in Austin. People who had been in the area on April 23rd began posting about experiences they could not explain. Multiple people reported waking up in the middle of the night in the days after the sighting, with the overwhelming feeling that something was standing in their room watching them. Others reported headaches so severe They describe them as feeling like something pressing against the inside of their skull from every direction at once. A handful of people reported nosebleeds that started suddenly and without any medical explanation in the week following the sighting. 2 people reported missing stretches of time, sitting down in the evening and then finding themselves standing in a different room with no memory of moving and hours gone from the clock. Researchers have a name for this cluster of symptoms. They call it post-encounter syndrome. And the fact that multiple unconnected people in the same city are reporting the same cluster of symptoms in the same week following the same event is not something that can be easily explained away. Whatever was over Austin that night did not simply leave when the flash happened. It stopped being visible. And there is a very significant difference between those two things. Del Rio crash. This one is different from everything else in this list, because this one has a name attached to it. Colonel Robert B. Willingham, decorated World War II veteran, Korean War combat pilot, a man whose entire career was built on accurate observation and precise reporting under pressure. In 1955, Willingham was accompanying a B-47 formation across West Texas when an object moving at an estimated 2,000 miles per hour crossed his position and executed a perfect 90-degree turn without slowing down at all. He got permission to break formation and pursue it. He followed it all the way to the Texas-Mexico border near Del Rio and watched it slam into the ground south of Langtree, tearing a 300-yard furrow into the earth. He went back to the site. Mexican military had already cordoned off every inch of it, but not before Willingham got close enough to see something that he spent the rest of his life struggling to describe without his voice changing. The craft was not destroyed. It was damaged, but largely intact. The material it was made from was unlike anything he had ever seen on any aircraft in his entire military career. It was not aluminum. It was not steel. It was something that had absorbed an impact violent enough to tear a 300-yard trench in the ground and still held its shape. And around the craft, partially visible before the Mexican military pushed him back, were figures, small, still, not moving the way injured people move, not moving at all. Willingham said he believed they were not human. He said it consistently, across multiple recorded interviews, across decades, until the end of his life. He was a man who had spent 40 years making precise observations under conditions that would break most people. And his precise observation at Del Rio in 1955 was that what came down in that field was not built on this earth, and the things inside it did not come from it either. His testimony is fully documented. Researchers have recorded it across multiple separate interviews. It has been presented publicly and in published books. And the US government has never once officially disputed a single word of it. What was recovered at that crash site has never been disclosed to the public. Colonel Willingham did not spend the rest of his life talking about what he saw because it was nothing. Trailing smoke. Something came out of the clouds, leaving a thick white trail behind it. Not the thin, wispy condensation trail a commercial jet leaves at high altitude. This was thick, controlled, dense in a way that suggested whatever was producing it was either badly damaged or losing altitude fast against its will. The kind of trail that comes from something that did not plan to be seen in that sky at that moment. And here is what makes this one particularly unsettling. The location has never been identified. Nobody knows what airspace this happened in, which means whatever was below it, whatever emergency response may have followed, and whatever was eventually found on the ground are all questions that have no public answers attached to them. A trail that thick does not come from nothing. Something was burning, or something was falling, or both things were happening at the same time. Things that trail smoke like that are not in control. They are in trouble. And wherever they came down, nobody has been allowed to talk about it. Carolina Mothership. North Carolina residents looked up one night and watched something large emerge partially from cloud cover above them. They might never have noticed it at all, except for one thing. A blue beam of light was running along the craft's exterior from bottom to top in a slow, repeating cycle, moving upward over and over again, like something was charging or powering up inside it. The clouds were hiding most of it, but that beam gave it away completely. Now, here is where this gets very serious. Colored beam emissions from UAPs are not just a visual curiosity. The Cache Landrum incident in Texas in 1980 involved a craft emitting beams of light directly at witnesses on the ground. Those witnesses developed radiation burns that were later confirmed by medical examination. The Cache Landrum case is one of the only UAP encounters in history with documented physical evidence verified by doctors. The blue beam running along the Carolina craft belongs to a category of UAP behavior that has already put people in hospital. Whatever it was doing inside that cloud, the beam gave it away, and it kept doing it anyway, like it was not worried about being seen at all. Dark Mothership. This one is the one that genuinely shook people. A massive dark craft with a rough diamond shape hung suspended over an entire city. Not passing through, not moving, just sitting there above the buildings and the streets and the people going about their lives underneath it. Its hull was covered in dozens of red and orange lights scattered unevenly across its surface, like burning embers spread across something ancient and completely enormous. The city lights below it gave away the scale, and the scale was deeply wrong. Entire districts sitting underneath it. Buildings that housed thousands of people dwarfed by whatever was holding position above them. No engine sound was recorded by anyone. No military response appeared. No jets scrambled. No official statement came afterward. Something that size hovering that long over a populated city is not an accident. It is not a glitch in the atmosphere. It requires control. It requires decision. Something chose to be there, and something chose to stay. At some point it left. But for those minutes, every single person underneath it was underneath it, and not one of them was told what was above their heads. Close pass. This one starts exactly like most sightings do. A small distant speck in the sky that could honestly be anything. A bird, a drone, a plane catching odd light. The kind of thing most people would put their phone away and forget about. But the cameraman held his nerve and kept filming, and then the object started closing in. Fast. Faster than it should have been moving from that distance. And in the final seconds before it passed, whatever this was came directly at the camera at a speed that left almost no time to react at all. At close range, it was not a plane. The shape was wrong. The speed was wrong. The way it moved through the air was wrong in a way that is very hard to describe, but impossible to miss once you see it. Frame-by-frame analysis of this footage has been done by multiple people. Nobody has put forward a convincing identification, not a single one. It was not interested in being seen. It came in fast and it left faster. But it was seen, and what it left behind was footage that nobody has been able to explain away, no matter how hard they have tried. Mothership convoy. 3 massive objects were filmed moving together over a highway. 2 circular craft flanking 1 central diamond-shaped object, holding formation across the entire stretch of footage while drivers below pulled over and stepped out of their cars. Witnesses described the objects as so large they were blocking out portions of the sky above them, not obscuring a small patch, blocking portions of the actual sky. And the formation never broke. 2 supporting craft flanking 1 central object, moving together with a coordination that suggested something was directing the whole thing. Here is what makes that formation so significant. This exact pattern, 2 craft flanking a larger central object, has appeared in documented UAP sightings across multiple countries and multiple decades. It is not random, it is not coincidence. Researchers have formally noted it as a repeated behavioral pattern, which means whatever is producing it has been doing it for a very long time. 3 objects moving together, with a clear structure and a clear direction. Whatever this was, it was not lost. It was not wandering. It was not alone. It knew exactly where it was going, and nothing on that highway could do a single thing about it.